Hi everyone and welcome back to Nick's Diecast. For today's video, I'll be showing you and reviewing this 1/18 scale Chevrolet Fleetmaster Woody made by Maisto. This is a pretty enormous model, as you can tell. I can barely fit in my frame here. Maisto has actually discontinued this particular model. I think the last time they had it in their catalog was probably like 2012 or 13. When it was out, it was in their Premier Edition line, and it came in this nice kind of like dark chocolate brown with the wood paneling. Also a kind of like a lighter gray color with the same paneling, and also a black with the wooden pattern on the sides. Overall, I'd say it's a pretty good model. We'll go ahead and get into the details here. With the front of this model, Maisto did a pretty good job with these headlights here. Yes, they do have the pegs in them, but from a distance they look like they're headlight bulbs, so it's not really that big of a deal. There's a nice texture on these lenses here, as you can see, which is nice to see there. This Chevrolet badge here actually looks pretty good. It is painted on, it's not like a sticker or anything, so that looks well done. There is a really small kind of Chevrolet embossed on there, an inscription I should say. Looks pretty good, kind of hard to see, but it is there, and it does look pretty good. Bumper and grille are done in chrome, a pretty nice quality of chrome too. You can actually see through the grille here. It's not just like a flat plastic piece, which is kind of cool to see. Unless you have the hood open, you can't really see like directly into the engine, but it's a nice feature that Maisto added there. Usually they just put like a solid grille and no detail, but on this one they actually went the extra mile. Paint quality overall is pretty good. The brown isn't like a metallic brown, it's just like kind of like a plain brown. But in terms of like the other areas of the car, the roof is plastic. This whole thing back here is actually plastic, but it's still a very heavy model, especially back here. You can see it kind of like leans back when you pick it up. But the plastic on the side really does look like actual wood. Maybe not so much these lighter portions, but the wood grain pattern on the doors does look really good. It is plastic, as you can tell. And this, lots of dust up here. This is kind of like a vinyl pattern, and it does feel like it too. Also plastic, but from a distance, everything just looks really good. When you touch it, you obviously know like what the material is, but from a distance, it looks very convincing, I would say. Wheels look pretty good. They have a Chevrolet logo in the middle there, with the inscription in the center, I should say. And these actually have Firestone tires on them, these white wall tires. Maisto doesn't usually do branded tires, but on this one they did, so that's pretty cool to see. Of course, you do have full steering and suspension on all four wheels. Really good suspension, I might add. This silver you see here was not originally on the car. My grandfather, he actually painted that because on the real Fleetmaster it had this like kind of silver trim detail alongside, like you can see here. So he added that. It's just going to be plain brown or plain gray on your model, but if you want to add it as like a nice detail, it does look pretty good from a distance. The added kind of silver detailing on there. It's a nice little feature you can add. Kind of a shame that Maisto didn't do it themselves, but at least you can add it on yourself if you really want to. On the rear, there's a full spare tire with the cover on it. Same thing with the Chevrolet logo in the middle there, or the inscription, I should say. The taillights are just kind of done in this red chrome, but they are separate plastic pieces, which is nice to see. They even include the hinge for this back window, which doesn't actually open on this model, but it is still there. I like this cool kind of split bumper back here that a lot of the Chevy wagons had back in the day. So let's go ahead and take a look at the opening features of the model. Nothing back here opens, unfortunately. Kind of wish it did. These back doors don't open either. The front doors do open, but we'll take a look at the engine first. Let's lift this up. Maisto did a pretty, I would say, solid job with this engine here. It's not just one plastic piece. There's actually several pieces in here. There's some logos and labels on everything. This is a separate piece here. There's even some wiring. There's some of the wires right there. You can see all the way down to the bottom of the car. There's even like a little radiator and fan down there, which is really cool to see. Maisto really did a nice effort on this engine in particular. Underside of the hood just is like this bare metal underspray. I wish they kind of lined it with something, but that's not really a huge deal. All different colors in the engine here too. Looks very convincing, I would say, to a real engine. So let's take a look at the interior of the model. The front doors open on spring-loaded hinges, so they are a bit Actually, they're pretty strong, but over time they might weaken a little bit. This is metal down here, by the way, if I forgot to mention. So detailing on the door panels is fairly well done. It has kind of like a wood texture on it. These are all separate pieces, but they're nice and firm. They aren't like loose or anything like that. The doors are a bit thin. You can see light going right through. I wish they maybe added some more thickness to the plastic on here, but they are sturdy nonetheless. The seats on this model look excellent. All three seats, actually. They have a nice like leather pattern to it. They even have the wrinkle detailing on the tops. They fold a little bit, but not much. If you run your finger, they feel like they're made of real leather, which is really cool. Even the back seats, which you can't even really access because the doors don't open, Maisto did a really good job with detailing. The whole floor has this kind of lining on it, and they even do like these molded floor mats, as you can see here. If I can get my finger in there. There we go. Very, very well done on Maisto's part. Dashboard detail looks really good as well. It has like kind of like a wood pattern to it. Move this out some. There we go. There's a clock there. There's some other gauges and whatnot. The silver buttons down there for the radio and everything. They're also very well done too. One of Maisto's better interiors on their classic cars, I would say. Let's move on to this side. It's kind of hard to see in here because the doors don't open that wide. The steering wheel looks great. There's kind of like this metal silver detailing on there. It's not an actual like metal steering wheel, of course, but it's very convincing looking. It's actually made up of two separate pieces. This center piece here is separate, just like on the real Fleetmaster. It had like a metal kind of center on the steering wheel. Pedals you can't really see. They're just like very small and black. They're done on like one piece, which is a bit weird instead of having separate pieces for the pedals, but not really a big deal because they're very tough to see anyway. Antenna's a bit loose, I forgot to mention. This is an older model from like 2000, so. Undercarriage, not too much to see. The front's very well done with the engine poking through. You can actually see the steering mechanism and the steering column too, which is cool to see. And the exhaust piping as well is seen throughout in chrome. Overall, if you can find this model on eBay or anywhere like that, I would say it's definitely worth buying. This is enormous. If you have any classic American cars or station wagon models even SUVs too, like this looks good alongside SUVs. Because this was kind of like an early form of SUV, this kind of like high riding wagon. It's a good addition to your collection. It is discontinued, so it might be a bit hard to find, but you know, you can look on sites like eBay and Mercari and whatnot and probably find stuff on there. As always, be sure to like and subscribe, and be sure to check out my Instagram page, Nick's Diecast page, which is all lowercase and no spacing. Hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching, guys.